I think it's a well-known fact in American politics that when Republicans control government, whether it's just the House, the Senate, the presidency, or all three at once, they don't get anything done. They don't do their jobs. They don't pass laws to make the country better or make people's lives better. They're more interested in going onto Fox News and getting a clip to post on their social media platforms. And that is especially true in the era of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz all being in Congress at once. And I think that's very frustrating for the American people. I know we both feel it, where we're like, hey, over here, we have some problems going on in the country. It'd be nice if you could think about us every once in a while. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, shoo, go away. I'm trying to talk to Mike Johnson about who's more MAGA, right? It's incredibly frustrating. And that's why I was so happy to see today Democratic Representative Jim McGovern, who's a star. He always has the Republicans' number when they try to come after the Democrats or him, calling out the fact that this Congress with Republicans in the House has been incredibly unproductive because of them. They just keep standing in the way of good policy. So I'm going to show you that clip of Representative Jim McGovern. It's fantastic. And then later, we're going to look at just how unproductive Congress has been with Republicans controlling the House. And I'll give you a sneak peek. It's not good. The data is not great for the Republicans. So take a look at the clip of Representative McGovern.
This is the most ineffective, incompetent majority, I think, in American history. Full stop. It has been nearly an entire year almost, since anything that we have done in the Rules Committee has gone to the President's desk. And the last time it did happen, it was with Democratic votes. Republicans have tried and failed to pass their own rules 7 times this Congress. 7 times this House has been stuck at a standstill because of their infighting. Before this Congress, it had been 20 years since a rule failed. It's been 50 years, half a century, since we've seen this many rules go down. And Republicans have done it 7 times. 1 or 2, 3 times maybe, that's just incompetence. But 7? 7 is a disaster. 7 is paralysis. It means weeks and weeks of sitting around doing nothing because Republicans can't get their house in order and do their job.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Perfectly said. So succinct. And I love how he has the historical data to back that up. I mean, 7 rules failing. 7, as he mentioned, hasn't happened for 50 years. And now with the Congress, the House run by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, now rules are going down like that. And let me just also add in that passing rules and like passing budgets and things like that and negotiating the debt ceiling are like the most basic and expected functions of government, of Congress especially. But that has been, every single one of these very basic functions has been a challenge with Republicans in the House of Representatives. Historically speaking, whether it's been like Democrats in the Senate and Republicans in the House or vice versa, whatever way it is, historically it's been very easy to get like the basic stuff done with Republicans. The easy became the difficult and the hard became the impossible. That's what happens when Republicans run government. I mean, the history behind their ineffective nature is astounding. It's just mind-blowing when you look at the past. And do you folks remember like the chaos that was surrounding the Republicans trying to pick a Speaker of the House? Remember like Kevin McCarthy took like 15 votes and then he got vacated. And then Mike Johnson took like another 3 weeks to become Speaker after they virtually went through every member of the House to see who wanted the job and nobody could get to the votes necessary. They couldn't even pick a Speaker. And during these times, nothing was getting done. No problems at home were being addressed. No problems abroad were being addressed. No, Matt Gaetz was screaming at Kevin McCarthy. Marjorie Taylor Greene was like yelling at these more moderate Republicans. Mike Johnson didn't know what was going on. He looked like a headless chicken. They just don't do anything. And like you see these different periods of chaos in the 118th Congress, which we're in right now, that really speaks to why the Republicans just should not be in charge of government. They should not in charge of legislators, not in charge of any branch of government in Congress, not in charge of the courts, certainly not in charge of the presidency. They just shouldn't. And as I mentioned, there's actual data and numbers backing up just how terrible this Congress has been with Republicans in the House of Representatives. On your screen, here's an article from ABC News talking about how this Congress is on track to become one of the least productive in U.S. history. They go on to write, the 118th Congress is on track to being one of the least functional sessions ever, with only 34 bills passed since January of last year. The lowest numbers of bills passed in the first year of a congressional session since the Great Depression, according to congressional records. The Great Depression. This Congress, in the first year of its existence, has been one of the least productive in a century. I don't know why anybody would want this again. I don't know why anybody's thinking like, yeah, let's put the Republicans back into the House majority when they can't even figure out themselves. They're fighting against themselves, and now we're the least productive Congress. We're in the midst of the least productive Congress since the Great Depression. 34 bills passed since January. 34. And by the way, these bills include like basic things. They're not like life-changing policy that completely alter the United States and the way of life. It's just like rules and bills and budgets and things like that. 34? Are you kidding me? It's because, as I mentioned earlier, the Republicans stand in the way of any good policy. And actually, the ABC article goes on to talk about this fact, saying some of the 34 bills last year were not controversial, like the one that renamed the Veterans Affairs Clinics and the one that minted a coin commemorating the anniversary of the Marine Corps. Others were bills that had to be passed to keep the government funded or avoid default, right? So many of the bills of the 34 were just to keep the government funded and to avoid the United States defaulting on our debt, which would be catastrophic at home and abroad. 34. It is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing how bad government runs when Republicans are in the majority. And I think it would be helpful for all of us to look at when Democrats control Congress, when Democrats are in control of government. And thankfully, we have a very recent example, right? During Biden's presidency. So here's a graph on your screen from The Economist. And the 117th Congress is the bar all the way to the right. And the light blue is bipartisan policy. The dark blue is other, meaning likely, along party lines. But look at that. The Democrats passed a lot of policy, a lot of good stuff. And I want to remind everybody that when this Congress was in place, the Democrats invested in infrastructure, fighting climate change, veteran health care expansion, expanding the Affordable Care Act, the first black woman on the Supreme Court because we controlled the Senate majority, the American Rescue Plan, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first piece of major gun legislation in 30 years. That's what the Democrats did with our majorities in Congress when we had it. But Republicans, when they control the House, are, fighting over who's the next Speaker of the House. Takes them like weeks to do so. Democrats are like, okay, yeah, that's nice. Let's go over here and actually do something. Let's do our jobs. Let's invest in strong projects that create jobs for Americans and make everybody some money and make the country run better. But, the Republicans are not interested in that. They're scheduling their Hannity appearance for the night, So let's just wrap this all up before the video concludes. All right. So when Democrats control Congress, they're effective. There's no infighting. They get stuff done and they pass policy that makes our lives better. Okay. That sounds pretty good to me. Now, when Republicans are in control of Congress, no matter what branch it might be, there's a lot of infighting. They don't get anything done, and they're the least productive Congress since the Great Depression. Okay. When I'm looking at 2024, for me, the choice is so clear. Let's go with the productive side. Let's go with the side that gets stuff done, not the side that is in fantasy land with Donald Trump. They're going to Mar-a-Lago on the weekend, having a party, right? While Americans are like, hey, please focus on us. We're right here. Can we get some policy for us? Anyway. So thank you to Representative McGovern for calling out the Republicans, doing amazing work. And that's going to wrap up the video for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below. Just click the button. It goes such a long way. Also, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think. And of course, share the video with anybody you think needs to see it. And I appreciate you being here. And let's fight. Let's continue to persevere. And we'll re-elect Joe Biden in 2024.